Yeah, because I was going to ask you, let me ask you this question. Do you think, because you made a good point, I think most guys know that or think that they don't want that. But I'm not sure if guys, some guys say, oh yeah, I want that, or I don't mind that, blah, blah, blah. So my question to you was, do you think you are you were open to it, you were willing to do it, and you so great at it? Do you think it was maybe because of your upbringing and then your situation with your stepmother and your father and then your biological mom, and maybe you saw some of the challenges that were there, and so I don't know. I was going to ask you that because when you said that, I was like, hold on.
I'm glad you did ask me to clear the air, because I will say this. Unknowingly, as you ask that question, I have to say that it had to play a part in there.
Welcome to the Clear the Air podcast with D and Q.
I'm D.
And I'm Q. Yo, man, we have Father's Day right around the corner, and we want to take a different approach this year than we did last year. This year, we want to hone in on stepfathers and talk about their importance in the household, so the importance of stepfathers. I think just to start things off, we have several examples of them before we start talking about some of the importances. And I think when we begin to talk about some of the people, some of the examples, we will see that some of these things come out, some of the importances and how the household was impacted. So give me a stepfather that comes to mind when this topic came up to us.
I thankfully have my father, so I don't have a stepfather, but I have friends who do have stepfathers. But my first person that crossed my mind was Shaq. So Shaq has talked about how his stepfather Phil was pretty much the driving force of his life. He was a military man. He always pushed Shaq. Shaq even made a song, took me for my boy to a dad, so Phil is my father when my biological didn't bother. You know what I mean? So, and then, just growing up in New Jersey and Newark, that was kind of big back then. But just, yeah, Shaq always, he wears that on his sleeve, man. He always talks about his stepfather and how his stepfather always pushed him and drove him to be the best. And when he would mess up, when Shaq would try to be a guard, he said he would literally like slap him. He would call timeout, slap me, like, get your big butt in the paint. You know what I mean? Or he would try to shoot threes. He'd be like, no, get down on the block. So that was the first one that always comes to mind when I think about, a great stepfather, a positive stepfather.
Got you. And I think just rolling back, I just think about stepfathers just because a male has a huge role in the household.
Right.
It's a big responsibility. And there's oftentimes people say baby mama drama. I don't know what you call it for stepfathers, but there is the potential for there to be egos involved, that there's the biological and the step.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously it's easier if there's only one party involved, but that's just, life is not just the easy route all the time.
Right.
And one thing I think, we will talk about the importance of the stepfather and his role in the home, but I think you would look at that and say how it's what he is doing to impact the home as far as just his presence. But I think the first thing to really kind of talk about is the humility and the heart and the why you are in this role first. Because if it's for a flex, it's no good, son. And the kid or children will notice that. Unless you have the mindset that I'm going to invest in this household, these children, and I'm doing it because it's what they need, man, it's just an ego thing. And, ego never really did much for us, but caused more damage, caused more harm. And it's just something that I think should be said, that there is a maturity and a humility that a stepfather has to take on before he even steps in the house. When there's that conversation with the mom, there needs to be that. So I think that goes first, that should be addressed. So I have one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not who you think I'm going to say.
All right.
But it's someone you're very familiar with.
Okay.
Russell Wilson.
Okay. He was third. I thought it was somebody else you was going to say.
Nope.
Okay.
The reason I say Russell Wilson is because many of you know we did a podcast. And if you haven't checked out that podcast, please go check it out. But the reason I say Russell Wilson, again, because you have the ego. I think initially there were some words that, ways that Future felt just with having Russell around his son. And, you never really heard much from Russell in regards to that. You just kind of seen him again with the maturity and the humility say, you know what, I'm marrying this woman. This child is a byproduct of this relationship, and I'm going to do what needs to be done. What we were talking about is how guys like him who do the right thing still get talked about bad mouth as being squares. So
right.
You know how our conversation is. Like, how is it that we can do the right thing or set up our families for success, but still be dogged out? So I think of Russell Wilson just because, yeah, you can say it's just for pictures and it's just, but you can just, when you see a picture of the entire family, it's love, this inclusiveness. And I think that's one thing, bro, that if you're going to do this, it has to be like all in, everybody, like just inclusive. Mm-hmm. And I see that when it comes to Russ. So he was someone else that I thought of.
Right. And, like you were saying, all that tied into the episode we had earlier about how he, if you didn't know, you would think Baby Future was his own. You know what I mean? He stepped in from day one.
Right.
And again, Future being the type of person that he is, threw little shots and said little, statements here and there, but it never fazed Russell. Russell right. just, that's my son. You know what I mean? And so that's when you were saying where like, you have to, whatever that's called, is I guess is a baby father drama. It might be, you know what I mean? Yeah, baby father drama, but that didn't stop Russell from being the man that he was taught and raised how to be.
And now the other person that comes to mind, and we're going to allow you, once I do this illustrious introduction, I'll allow you, since you always come with the history, talk about right. this person, Steve Harvey.
Yeah, Steve, Uncle Steve.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people don't know that his daughter, Lori Harvey, is actually his stepdaughter. So that's his wife's Marjorie Harvey. That's her daughter with somebody else. But yeah, she has Steve's last name. And he says, that's my daughter. You know what I mean? And like, if you didn't know, you would know. You would not know. You know what I mean? And so, Steve, he's just always been that upright guy. You know what I mean? He's, always preaching, positivity and, how to be consistent. He always talks a lot about consistency and be focused on your dreams and your goals and this and that. And he always took fatherhood seriously. I know he had that, was it the retreat for the boys? He had like a boys retreat he would always do. I think it's annually. He does this boys retreat. Obviously I don't think he's had the past few years because of the pandemic. But yeah, he's always had a boys retreat that he would do. Yeah, so Steve Harvey definitely always takes fatherhood seriously. Obviously, he's been married, I think, a couple of times, and he has children. But he, I just know, I think he has twin daughters. I know he has a couple sons, and then Lori. So, but they're all his kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he's always preached being men and positivity, but also the importance of fatherhood. So shout out to Steve Harvey.
Shout out to all of them, man. Shout out to Russell Wilson, Steve Harvey, and Phil. I don't know his last name.
Phil, I don't know his last name either. I should have.
But Shaq's father, rest in peace, because he passed away. He was a huge factor in Shaq's life. I started to smile because I don't know why I always forget this, but I almost went to school with Steve Harvey's twin girls.
Really?
Yeah. So they went to Hampton.
Okay.
And I did pre-college at Hampton.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go there. It didn't end up that's the way that it went.
You made the right choice, brother. Go do.
But they were, I believe they were in pre-college. They definitely went to Hampton that year. And a few of my friends that I still keep in contact with from pre-college, they know them. So last but not least, and this will be quick, so we can just jump into it. I happen to be a stepfather.
Yes.
And it's a role that I take very seriously. It's a role that I wasn't even sure when I started off in being in serious relationships as an adult that I would have even been ready for. So in my previous marriage, 2 young ladies that I still hold very dear to my heart from my first marriage, I helped raise them for 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And once that relationship ended, those were 2 girls I helped, and then I had my daughter with my ex. But then it was like God said, you did well.
Yeah.
You inherit 4 now.
Right.
And so, I inherited 4 children, 3 boys, 1 girl, plus my daughter. And it's been a great 6 years, man. Again, I don't want to talk too much about me, but I'll interject as we go through our program. But it's been a blessing, man. It's been a blessing. And it's always a blessing to be able to contribute to the life or the lives of those who you didn't take part in bringing into this earth. I think it's a special kind of love. You just imagine that in a biological situation, it's going to be love. It's going to be adoration. But it's a special kind of love to see past the issues that could come along if the father is, alive and around. And I've had a few challenges from previous relationship to even in this one. But ultimately, my posture has been to that other male, listen, we got children to raise. Like all that other stuff,
right.
It's foolishness. We have children to raise.
Right.
I'm committed, and I imagine you, as the biological, are committed. So let's put all that stuff in the dirt. Let's put it all behind us.
Right.
Let's do what we really came to do while we're really on this earth, to make sure that we give our children everything they need so that when they get out here in these streets, they know how to handle themselves. They know how to make themselves look good. And doing so, they make us look good.
Right.
And that they're law-abiding citizens that can contribute to their communities, to their environments, and to the world ultimately.
Right. Right.
So.
And one thing I wanted to say, bro, I always tell you, well, one, I commend you often because you never say stepfather. You always say father. Right. You know what I mean? And I know you making it clear because of this episode that we're doing and the topic at hand. But, you know, you always say, I'm a father of 5. You never say, I'm a father of 1 and I got 4 stepkids. I've never heard you say that, you know, or 6 stepkids. You know what I'm saying? You've never said that. And then that takes, I always, you know, commend you because I think that takes a special kind of person to do that.
Right. Shout out to you for that. And shout out to you for that last little ad lib, because technically it is 6. I do my best to reach out to the 2 young ladies that really kind of gave me my start as stepdad. And, you know, it still means the world. I mean, you don't be around somebody for 11 years and just because the relationship with mom, you know, ends, that there's not still love and, you know, even in the attempt to still be in touch. So, you know, there's always circumstances sometimes that you have to deal with. But at the end of the day, I have 6 children that I did not bring into this earth that I do love. And I'm grateful to God, man, for the opportunity that he trusted me. That's really what that is. So,
yeah, man, it is it is a I don't know if I want to say trait. It is a,
what you want to say, acquired taste?
No, it is a quality. It is a whatever it is. This is something that a lot of men do not have or may not have. So.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. One of the things I remember my boy said to me, you know, he said, I don't want a ready-made family. And I had never heard that before. But when he said it, I said, what is a ready-made family? He said, I don't want to be in a situation with a woman who already has children. And, you know, we talked about it in the stepmother situation where we even said, ladies, are you ready to be stepmothers? Because if you don't want that ready-made family, you're not ready to be a step-parent. And I think I say it now, I accept the praise or, you know, being commended, but I'm no better than the person who does not want that. I think that takes a level of maturity to say, I just can't handle that. So why put yourself in a position to have to try to get your mind and your heart prepared for something that you know, people say, I didn't sign up for this. Hey, if you didn't sign up for it, don't stick around and try to make things work, because really at the end of the day, you're going to ruin lives because your heart is really not, and it's not what you really want.
Right. So. Right. And that's so important, man. I think, like, if you don't have that quality, if you don't have that trait, there's nothing wrong with that. Exactly. So be upfront and honest with the mom. You know what I mean? Because you got to think, you know, you don't want to come off as phony and fake, insincere. You know what I mean? Because that mother is not only thinking about herself, but she's thinking about her child or her children. You know, and so yeah, you can't play around with that. First of all, you shouldn't play around with the mom and her heart, but then definitely not with the children or the child.
Bro, I got a question.
And
I don't think by any means there is a set answer for this.
Okay.
How long do you think it should be before a parent introduces their children in a relationship? A little off topic.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't know we was going there. That, I mean, as a man, I don't know, it would probably be more appropriate for a woman to answer that. I can go off of experience, because I've dated some women that have a child or children. Um, I don't know, bro. Mm. Some look, some it's a while, and I don't know what a while is. It may be a few months or something. Some it'll maybe soon, like the second time or something. You know what I mean? But I think most it is a period of time before you meet the child or the children. I can't put an actual amount of time on it, but it is varied. I can only talk personally. Yeah, and I think it also depends on the situation too. You know what I'm saying? So like, for instance, it was one young lady. I met her, and it was cool, exchanged information and everything. I actually I actually met her in town, but she was from out of town, and she wanted us to, just reconnect before she left to go back out of town the next time. But she had her daughter with her, so it was like, okay, you know what I mean? So, it wasn't a big deal then. But again, that situates to where, okay, we wanted to see each other before you leave, I mean, you got your daughter with you, so, you know, and there's been times where, I don't ever see the kid. It's been a while. I ain't gonna say never, because, but, I think women are more,
They're more equipped to handle. They're more
yeah,
equipped.
yeah, to handle that question. I think, that, I don't know.
I'm gonna
I'm
tell
a,
you. I'm gonna tell you why I went there.
okay.
Just because of what we were talking about, of you being ready to handle something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I see some things sometimes that happen. So a person may say, "Oh, this is mommy's friend," or
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, this is daddy's friend,"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I guess that's okay. But oftentimes that's code word for it's more than that. But
Right.
I'm not going to expose that to you
Right.
yet because I'm seeing how this thing is going.
Right. How this thing is gonna go.
And
Right.
so that's why I asked that question, because if it's one of those things where you got to be upfront about having children,
Yeah.
and I think a question that should be asked is, if how do you feel about, if this was to progress, how do you feel about stepchildren?
Right.
Because if that person is like, oh nah, that ain't my cup of tea, you don't need to meet my kids.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
You
So that's
know,
why I said the situation varies. I don't think it's one solid answer.
right?
You know what I mean?
And it was just a
So,
it's kind
yeah.
of an icebreaker
Yeah.
that goes into, because we get ready to start talking about the importance of stepfathers
Right.
in the household. And
Right.
so it was just kind of an icebreaker, something to
Yeah.
throw in there.
That's cool. Look, I could duck it. I could duck it.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what is the importance of a stepfather in the home? One of the things that is very obvious is that, you serve as an additional father figure. I say additional without making an assumption, because I think initially people with the little brown charm
Yeah.
school
Correct.
would have made an assumption that the father was not around,
Right.
and it took for that clip getting some notoriety
Right.
before he was like, hold on.
Yeah.
These comments is out of whack. He lives with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
He
Right.
lives with me.
Right. Right.
His mama just, doubling up to what
Right.
I do, but he lives with me.
Right.
So don't ask if I'm in the picture. I'm in
Yeah.
the picture.
Right.
So, that's something, you serve as an additional father figure. I think the next thing, and just to make it personal, I can remember when the two younger boys, they initially when I came into the relationship, lived with their dad, and I was all in. So I would see them here and there at first. And I think at one point, the now 18-year-old had reached out. And, you know, I tried to not push myself, but say, hey, listen, I'm here. If you ever need anything, you know, I'm an extension of mom. And so, again, serving as an additional father figure, I don't need to try to outdo your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to let you know what I will be, AKA
Mm-hmm.
an additional father figure.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's situations where you got to step in and actually be what you would imagine biological dad would and should be, but they're nowhere in sight. They don't care. Whatever the circumstances are, they're not available. And so one of the importances of a stepfather is being able to be what that child needs, especially in an environment where there is an absence. So
Yeah. By the way, you done said importances like twice. Is that a word? I'm just
it's
asking.
not a word.
Okay.
It's not a word.
Okay. Yeah. But I like how you used it. You know,
Well, that's
keep
why I
going,
had
my
to,
brother. Keep
no,
going,
I can't.
my brother.
I'm not gonna keep using that word. My wife would tear me up if she heard me. And we not editing that out.
Nah. We keeping that. It's like irregardless.
Right.
Irregardless is not a
Right.
word.
It's not a word.
People use it all the time.
It's not a word. It's not a word.
Yeah. But yeah, bro, that again, and like you were saying, I think it's important, you know, you lay the ground like, look, whatever issues we got, let's raise these kids. You know what I mean? And so, like you said, it's just, I like how fathers are changing that narrative. Like, no, I'm not absentee. I'm here. You know what I mean? I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, maybe the biological father has moved on, or maybe the mom has moved on. Well, she has if there's a stepfather. You know what I mean? But, you know, I love seeing those situations, those family dynamics where both sides of the family are doing the best for the child and they all get along and all, you know what I mean? Yeah. You love to see it, man. You love to see it. So again, because, you know, I'm not a parent yet, but, you know, I know that when you have kids, it's not about you anymore. You know what I mean? It's about your child or your children, you know? So, you know, all that other stuff that's for the birds, man. Like you said, let's raise this child, let's raise these children so they can be, you know, ready for this cruel world that we live in now, and also given to the world, not taken away from it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, bro.
It's enough grief in the world.
Good plug, yes.
It's enough grief in the world that home should be a safe haven.
Yes.
If you haven't checked out the How to Process Grief podcast, that was our last episode. Please get to that.
For sure.
Please. What you said reminds me of a photo I saw some years ago. And the photo was of a blended family. And you had mom, stepdad, stepmom, dad, and they were at a soccer game and they kneeled and the name was stepmom, mom, dad, stepdad.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, some people will look at that and say you're doing stuff for show, but we should be able to show, just like with the stepmother thing. It doesn't have to be evil stepmother. It doesn't have to be contention because folks have moved on and you don't want your child around a step parent. It doesn't have to be that. It can be that there are two loving households. So it just made me think about that when you said that.
Yeah, it's also piggybacking off that. I've seen a couple videos here, I would say within the last few months, one maybe not even a week ago, where the stepson has surprised the stepdad with, I don't know if it's some paperwork or something pretty much saying that they want to take the stepdad's name as their last name. So the stepdad was such a major impact, had made such an impact in their life. And maybe maybe he saw not only the personal impact, but how he's treated his mother, you know what I mean? To the point that he was supposed to be like, you know, can I have the honor of having your last name? Man, touching, very touching, you know, stepdad crying, son crying, mama crying, everybody just crying, man. It was such a touching moment, man. And, you know, like you say, you just love to see it, man. You love to see it when everybody can just come together, put their differences aside, and when it all works out, and you have this lovely child or these lovely children seeing this. You know what I mean? Because like you said, not everything is perfect, you know?
Yeah. That hits me, bro, and I can't move on past that because I've had that twice.
Right.
I don't want to go too deep into it, but with one of the children, they asked me about that. And what was significant is, so I changed my wife's last name twice
Mm-hmm.
because I, after marriage, took my dad's last name all my life up until this second marriage. I had my mom's last name, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I corrected that, and I switched to my dad's last name. So one of my sons came to me and, you know, voiced that might be a road he might want to go down, and we talked about it.
That's crazy, bro.
We talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it. And my youngest daughter, same thing. So, you know, you see mommy's name changing.
Right.
You know, and you see your sister that's 2 years older than you,
Mm-hmm.
her name changed.
Uh-huh.
So it's stuff like that. That's a testament, I think, to how the child feels about you, and it's a way to get closer. So I've seen that too. I've actually even seen adoption. It's just a tearjerker, bro.
Right.
Because it's not done out of antics or for show. It's done because, like, yo, I've really been impacted and I love you that much.
Right.
On both sides, that this is what I want to do and this is what I would love for you to do.
Right. Just think about the concept, bro. Just think about on its surface level. You are loving something as if it's your own. You know what I mean? Like it's
a beautiful thing, bro.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. And imagine you're that son or daughter that's receiving that unconditional love.
Yeah.
You know? And so no matter what the situation is, so let's say the biological dad is still there, so you're getting double love. Let's say your biological is not around, so you're getting that love that was absent. You know what I mean? So either way, you know, it's a beautiful thing, though. It's a beautiful thing, man.
It is. And I want to say this really quick because I also don't want to paint the picture that it's all nice and sweet and you do still have you're not my real dad.
Mm-hmm.
You do still have the fact that, and we talked about this in the stepmother edition as well. Go check that out. Mm-hmm. But, you know, you still have that sometimes the animosity because it's not that I don't like you. You're nice as a dad, but I want my biological dad.
Right.
And so, you know, you have those challenges, but one thing I will suggest and say, again, you're serving as an additional father figure. And often that can be challenging for the child, as well as it's challenging for you because it's hard sometimes when you do submit your heart and then you get maybe rejected. It's hard. It is hard. So I think another thing when we talk about the importance of stepfathers is that it helps the child with diversity. And you say, what do you mean? Race? Well, that could be a factor, but when I say diversity, I mean it allows you to be accepting of those who are not originally a part of your clan, so to speak. And so if you can be accepting at home, when you go to school, when you go to work, when you go to college, when you go wherever you find yourself in the world, you can say, you know what, I can love you. Because I was loved by somebody that I didn't initially know, that I didn't initially grow up with. So when you look at it from that standpoint, like that's diversity. Diversity is not a race-based thing. So that's another thought. Speaking of that, kind of segue right into that, talking about work. And Shaq, I think, was big on this when talking about Mr. Phil, how he prepared him for the workforce. Oh man, you're talking about Phil. You know who else?
Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil. That's crazy. We say, yeah, Uncle Phil. I think we not overlooked him. I think we didn't think about him because, you know, it's a TV show. But he is the prototypical, like, the stepdad, you know. And then obviously, man, the episode when Will's dad came and he left him. Why you don't want me? That joint, man.
So I broke down on that.
Yeah, joint. Bro, I can't. To this day, I've only seen it once. I can't watch that joint. I can't watch that. I seen it once, and it's original when it came out, and I ain't seen that joint since. I was like, man, bro, man, that joint was a tearjerker.
It was a tearjerker, son.
Yeah, yeah.
All I know is, yo, we talking about all these episodes. All I know is Uncle Phil would have slapped Will.
Bro. Oh my God!
For slapping Chris Rock.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Uncle Phil ain't play. And might have threw him out like Jazz. Hey yo, quick side note about that. You know, Jazz, he said he got tired of filming that scene because it was starting to hurt. So he said he made them use the same joke. That's why he always got the same shirt on. Like, because you ain't gonna keep throwing me outside this house. Lila taking 50 takes.
Oh, better stop when we get that 85 South.
Yeah.
Stop, stop.
My man DC,
yo.
When you walk out the stage. Oh man, laughter's good for the soul, man. Oh man.
But I think, like I say, preparing them for the workforce. I don't want to say especially if you are the only father and you've had to step up as stepdad, which could be another play on words, the step up dad.
Okay.
The step up dad. Were you the step up dad? But especially in that case, because where else does the child have to go to? You think of the man as being the breadwinner, so he's able to give you tips on how to behave in the workforce. You know, making sure you're on time for work, making sure you're dressed appropriately, you know, making sure that, again, the diversity that I've showed you in this house, you can take that to work, get along with anybody. That's definitely something that's big. And I think the next thing I would say is that you able to provide additional resources or connections that may not be there with the biological. Just in me giving an example, I'm not doing this for clout, but you know, my dad's a doctor who went to Harvard. And so his network is insane. Like this dude went to 3-4 different schools. He way better than me, but one of the things that he was able to do for my 18-year-old wants to be a lawyer. And one of the things I've seen him do is connect him with people on the East Coast at the University of Maryland. Right. Children that he, like parents that he knows their children that are doing things, just being another resource. And that's just such a cool thing, man, because again, we put in people's lives to impact them for the better. And being a resource, whether it's you or the resources you have, could be everything. Sometimes it's who you know.
Bro, I think it's all the time. It's who you know. You know that. You know that. Connections is always important with me. Connections and networking.
Of course you.
Ah,
Which, by the way, what you just said will tie into some stuff that we end up getting into in this podcast, but we're going to push that to the side for now.
okay.
And just say, probably most important, and we could probably clear the air after this, is that when we talk about the importance of a stepfather, he has the ability to leave a legacy that goes beyond his bloodline.
Oh.
At the end of the day, that ties into our purpose.
Right.
Granted, there are generations under us that are watching this, moms that might be sharing this with them because there may not be a dad or stepdad that's there. But again, these heir related topics that we discuss,
Right.
putting legacy to the forefront and allowing conversation to impact an heir, heir not just being obviously in this conversation bloodline. I think being able to do that is everything, and I definitely want to do that for my children. By the way,
You know what though? You gonna get blessed for that, dog. You gonna get blessed for that, dog. You are, bro. Like I said, that a lot of men, I ain't gonna say a lot of men, but some men don't have that quality. And the fact that you have it, I'm telling you, man, you're gonna get blessed for that, dog. You know, I've always respected you for that.
it's crazy, you know, as we close up, that's not even a quality that I knew I had. You know, it was just, you know, something that I love family. And before we close up, I also have to say, I could say that I don't know where I got that from, but I might be lying.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask you, let me ask you this question. Do you think, because you made a good point, I think most guys know that or think that they don't want that. But you know, I'm not sure if guys, you know, some guys say, oh yeah, I want that, or I don't mind that, blah, blah, blah. So my question to you was, do you think you you were open to it, you were willing to do it, and you so great at it? Do you think it was maybe because of your upbringing and then your situation with your stepmother and your father and then your biological mom, and maybe you saw some of the challenges that were there, and so you, I don't know. Go. I was gonna ask you that because when you said that, I was like, hold on.
I'm glad you did ask me clear the air, because I will say this. Unknowingly, as you asked that question, I have to say that it had to play a part in that, because I don't think things. I'm not one of those persons that say everything happened for a reason. I don't. That's so cliche now, but
don't mean it's not true though.
No, I'm not saying it's not true.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not true, but I like to go a step further. Okay, God, why did this happen?
Correct.
Can you give me the reason why? Because sometimes having that knowledge, when you have it, it shows you who you are. And when you know who you are, then you can know what you should do, what lanes to move in, what lanes to move out of. For me, I do think that it played a part unknowingly, that I didn't pay attention to it. And it's not like it made me say, you know what, when I get out there, I'm going to do this. Like I didn't have that mentality. But what I will say that I cared about and care about to the utmost now is family. I believe everything starts at home. And I believe being able to set an environment of love is everything. So I think that's that. But what I have to take my hat off to is my Uncle Milton, my biological father's middle brother. Father's the youngest. So I saw how he moved with my two cousins and his oldest, I'm sorry, three. His oldest two have an additional sibling. Okay. And I never saw any weirdness. It would be where it would be him, it would be his youngest son's mom and his oldest children's mom. And they could be at the house at a cookout or just a get together for the holidays. And it was, again, he wasn't a stepfather person. Well, in the one case he was, in the additional child.
Mm-hmm.
But I never looked at it that way. I just looked at it as just being family. So in my mind, and looking at it as that, it's probably part of the reason why I don't say step this or step that. No, you family. That's your brother. That's your sister. Here, come on. You're not standing outside while we deal with the ones that I brought into this earth. No, we're not doing that. And so I think that really shaped me in a way, because I spent a lot of time in Boston around my uncle and just seeing how he did things. You know, again, people aren't perfect, but you have to, what can you cling to? What can you, it's like when you go to church, maybe not everything is for you, but what can I get that I can stick to the bone? You know, and that's how it was with the situations that I had. I never had a stepfather. I never had that. And I also could tell you, growing up, I don't know if I was necessarily prepared. You're going to need this when you, no, but maybe those things I'm telling you probably did shape me. You know, it's still not something I said, oh God, I want this. I never said that. But I never said, God, I don't want this either. I told you, my boy said, I don't want a ready-made family. I never said that.
Good answer.
As we are looking to clear the air,
Right.
I just want to say shout out to the stepfathers who are being what these children need in your life. Shout out to the stepfathers who know the importance of their role and how they impact the home. Shout out to the stepfathers who, I'm calling them stepfathers, but we look at those children like they're our own, because they are. Listen, if you're eating up all my food, leaving my lights on, driving my cars, you mine. If I done had to
help you with homework and take you to practice, pick you up for practice,
take you to school,
right,
take you to the hospital when you have a football injury,
right.
If I had to do all of that, be there with you when you cry,
right,
and all of my children have cried right here. I'm talking about the grown men, the grown women, all of them. And so, and shout out to the fathers who understand that legacy is not necessarily tied to bloodline.
Right. And I want to shout out, you know, I know we talked about athlete stepfathers and celebrity stepfathers and fictional TV stepfathers, man. But we did all that to highlight the real stepfathers, the ones that's really doing it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, those are people we may see on TV or this and that, but we talk about the ones who doing it every day. Like I said, I have friends who have stepfathers that hold it down. You know what I mean? I have friends who are stepfathers that hold it down, i.e. you know what I mean? And so those are the people that we want to highlight and we want to acknowledge,
right?
You know, and salute to y'all for this Father's Day. And we hope y'all enjoy, and we hope your children or child make it special for you. So any big plans this Father's Day, bro?
I think my wife wants to steal me away on Saturday.
Okay.
I get my 11-year-old that morning. So we'll hang out. I'm simple, bro. I just want to be around them. You know me, Mr. Photographer. Also, I take pictures with my kids.
Right.
And just hang out. So I know we're talking about stepfathers, but you don't have a stepfather. What you gonna end up doing for Daddy-O?
Oh man. Man, that's a crazy weekend for me, bro. Again, it seems like it always falls on someone. I got stuff planned, man, but I will be out of town, but I will be back Sunday. Definitely be there for church with Pops, hear that good word. And Pops is just kind of chill. He kind of like Mom. So he may want to get something to eat. You know, Father's Days places don't normally be as packed as Mother's Day, which is crazy, right?
I was talking to my wife about that.
Yeah, but it is the truth. But normally, like I said, we normally do something the day before or the day after. I know the past few years with the pandemic, they just want to take a drive somewhere. I.e., they send it back and I drive them somewhere. So that's what that means, man. So we still got a little time, so I'll ask him what he want to do. But he probably just at the church just want to go home, bro. Go home. I think the NBA Finals may still be on, so maybe just go home and watch the game. So that's kind of what he gonna want to do. So whatever he want to do, similar to my mom, bro. And they both celebrate them days together. So Mother's Day, he gets celebrated. Father's Day, she gets celebrated. So, so yeah.
I don't know yet for myself what I'm going to do with my dad. You know, something else that we have to take into consideration. That's Juneteenth.
It is Juneteenth. Yeah, Juneteenth. So it's a long holiday weekend. So yeah, like my dad, they may want to go somewhere. Maybe do like a overnight trip or something. I don't know.
If my dad is not working, which hospitals don't close,
right?
If he's not working that Monday, I might pull up on me.
Up in Delaware, right? Yeah. Sound like a plan.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Again, man, shout out all the dads out there and the stepdads. I know we focus on stepdads, but shout out to the dads that are holding it down. Appreciate y'all. Salute.
Sure. By the way, as we close, we are sponsored by Life Unlimited. My 16-year-old son started a clothing label. He's got wristbands.
Okay.
This is not his, this is ours, by the way.
Yeah.
He has shirts and hoodies. Great quality. I know because I have tried on the shirts. My wife made an entire outfit. But check out his website. We are sponsored by Life Unlimited.
Shoot, we got sponsors now. Oh, shoot.
That's it. So also, we would like to ask you, follow us on Apple, Spotify, Twitter,
Preach,
Instagram, TikTok,
take that,
Facebook.
It's bad boy.
And of course, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to make sure you're seeing the full episodes. We listed a whole lot of episodes in here. Go back to them. They are still relevant, obviously, because we're still talking about it. So, happy Father's Day to all the fathers, biological and stepfathers. Peace.
Peace.